Spare one more chair there. I think so. I don't know. Don't call I'm that guy. It's funeral, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. So I'm worried about
I was at a funeral. Went off to the parade. And it kept raining and raining. I figured out this guy who was praying was supposed to. He kept praying. Get feedback from you.
Well, it's not. No, it's not. He can hear you. It's you all here.
That's what I mean. If you put this in front of the speaker,
That's not where it's coming at. That's coming out from the Zoom call. It's different.
okay.
If it was coming out of that, it'd be a lot louder. Yeah, as long as everybody can be yeah, you can hear it.
What I'm asking you about, can you stick it over this and see it?
There's another broadcast. This is the speaker. It's got to be as loud as it'll go. Wendy, can you hear us? Go ahead and talk to the microphone.
Can you hear me, Mayor? All right. We'll all speak in the microphone.
It is to make sure the people coming to speak at the podium speak to their microphone, and you have my gavel in front of you as well.
Okay.
Hey, Brooks, there's a chair up here.
There's a chair right here. Somebody can sit right here.
Stephen,
Yeah.
obviously the room I'm sitting in, there's not a clock anywhere. I'm on aisle, I don't think people care too much about time. Just let them know it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, you got another minute or 30 seconds. We'll let you know when it's 6.
Sounds good. Are we good on the occupancy?
Near as I can tell.
Good.
Has everybody signed in that wants to talk today?
Mayor, it's 6 o'clock.
Great. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and call the November 3rd, 2025 Greenup City Council meeting to order with roll call.
Mark Harris.
Yeah.
Dave Black. John Norman.
Here.
Bruce Vance.
Here.
Phil Dowdy.
Here.
Jamie Gilman.
Here.
Great, full quorum. The new business, number 1 on the agenda is a complete financial review to include income, expenses, and debt liabilities presented by Michelle Meeks. Is she present?
Yes, she is. She's coming right
Make
now.
sure she speaks clearly into the microphone.
Welcome, everybody. I think everyone has a financial book.
Thank you, Michelle.
This evening, I'm going to do a review of the city's finances. And for the purpose of the crowd, I want to explain in detail for everyone here actually understands, and probably more detail than you all need, because you all have done this, but I want to explain our revenue sources, our expenses, and some of the things we've been working on. The first fund the city has is the city's general fund. The city's general fund is what funds your police, your fire, your city activities, your city park. It is funded by city property taxes, occupational license fee, garbage fees, and some various revenues from the state. There's alcohol licensing and an insurance premium tax. That's what funds your major services. I'm going to take a highlight on some of the bigger revenues. Insurance premium tax for the first quarter, you all have collected $45,469. Occupational license for the first quarter, you all have collected $79,095. And we've got an actual settlement, in your miscellaneous revenue is $65,000. You all actually got a settlement for a company for waterways of $45,000. That's why that is higher than budget. So far, for the first quarter, you all have collected $322,755. The budgeted for the year is $1.1 million. That's a highlight of your major revenues that you collected. Anybody have any questions on the revenues? Your first expense division is the city. This funds your all salaries, the city clerk's salary. It funds the park. It funds the firework, any recreational improvements, the maintenance of the city building, and the maintenance of the downtown. You have $350,671 that is budgeted in this division. To date, for the first quarter of the fiscal year, you spent $62,580, which the majority of that has come for the fireworks celebration. $26,700 was spent, which was, majority was paid with donations that you all received. And then some fundraising that is done.
I have a question on this one.
Uh-huh.
Recreational improvement, 25,000, what does that entail?
The 45,000, that's whatever you all choose, or activities you all choose through the year. It was not budgeted for particular events. It was budgeted to do some community events.
So how much we have spent so far this year?
So far this year, you've not spent anything. That's been paid through September 30th. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
If I could go back to the previous page,
Uh-huh.
does that tell us that we're basically on budget compared to the yearly? We've got like 25% or so of that collected, correct? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So that's reasonable, that's good.
Yes, you all are in good financial footing for the first quarter of this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
The next division is your police department. The city has 5 full-time policemen. Their salaries and expenses with their cars and travel training and repairs to their building is budgeted here. We have $49,000 budgeted to purchase a car. The total budget for your police department for the year is $613,961. To date, you've spent $155,017, which the majority of what has been spent is in salaries and benefits. We have $3,339 in auto repairs, and we spent $4,200 in fuel. Very conservative budget, but the majority of what's been spent has only been in salaries and benefits.
What about this park expenses? Did we spend anything on that? Is that $76,000?
On the park expenses, you spent $6,400. I do believe that they've done some work on the bank down there, and I do believe that they've done some work on some of the playground equipment.
So we don't have nothing. Exactly what we spent so far. We don't.
That $6,400 probably makes up about 12 or 15 things, and it's also your utility bills.
So That's happening next year, isn't it?
The lights down there, when you look at that expenditure, you as council can look at everything that you have spent in the city park. That includes electric that you spent down there, if you fixed a bench, you spent down there. Includes everything that's been spent in the park. So if you spent $6,400, what's been paid through September 30th?
Got a question. All
Yes.
right, previous page. We're giving $1,000 to the library for splash pad, or is that?
It is my understanding you all are going to buy the supplies to do the piping and provide water.
Excuse me.
And those details are still to be worked out with Mr. Gant at the library. Unfortunately, that project has been put on hold for various permitting reasons and some people calling into the state and requiring the contractor and contractors for the library board to seek blueprints and different permitting options. So that project has been put on hold, and Mr. Camp and I will sit down at a later date to discuss everything as it pertains to the splash pad. And I will also let you know that the tourist board has committed to paying the water bill for the splash pad, which will be minimal.
When did we discuss this $1,000 that we're?
Please speak up because I can't hear you.
I said,
Speak
when
in the
did we ever
microphone.
discuss this $1,000 that this piping and stuff that we was gonna do?
You discussed it at budget time.
Did?
Yes.
Anything that's involved in to do with the budget, you've
Yes.
already approved that budget.
Your financial statements matches the budget you approved to the penny. Good here.
Yeah, I was just asking because we do have people from Greenup that ask us.
Oh,
about
very good.
splash pads and
Yes.
stuff, So that way, we know what.
And the $1,000 was just supplies, you're all, labor or other things, in-kind contributions you can do.
We've also covered that in the meeting in the past, we talked about.
Yes, I think you have those.
I brought it up because I got tired of people asking me how much money we was putting in it.
Yes.
If anybody wants any technical information on that, I'll be more than glad to tell you. Flat out,
Well, that way, just when we are asked, we're just able to.
Anybody else can call me, because I'm the one that.
If the council members don't care to speak into the microphone, so I'll hear you, I would greatly appreciate it.
Does anyone have any questions on the police department? The next page is the city fire department.
The budget is 189,315. You spent 30,562 to date. And some of the expenditures, if you look at parts and supplies, is 8,368. It is some stuff that's tied together. You're also building like tables and chairs and other supplies that's made that a usable space up there. Other than that, we have some repair and maintenance to the fire truck. And the majority of expenses, again, are fuel and salaries for your chief, your secretary.
Anybody have any questions on the fire department?
I will move on
to the city's road fund.
The road fund is funded by a tax on the gasoline, and it is allocated to each city. You all have projected to get $27,750 in revenue this fiscal year. To date, it's $5,118. You also have a fund balance carryover where you have saved, where you can do more paving at once. Which when you turn over to page 7, you all have completed $50,280 worth of paving this fiscal year.
Anybody else?
And I will add to that, FEMA will be reimbursing us for about 13,000 and some change of that paving. Once up on getting that check, that will go back into the road fund as well.
That will allow you to do some paving this spring. The next page is an opioid settlement fund. You all joined the class action on opioid case, and you all received money from the different manufacturers and from pharmacies like CVS, Walmart. And so far to date, you've got 5,569. During budget time, we talked about doing some AEDs in our police cars. And we're doing some drug education, which we started this month with some bags. Drug education for our youth. So that's what some of the money is spent with. Each police car will have an AED. My understanding is fire trucks already do. So if they pull up to a scene, they will be trained on how to use it. And they will get the people that are using it will actually get help quicker before the ambulance come here, and then the ambulance will take over once they get here. There's only allowable uses for that by KRS. It has to be used for drugs, something related to helping with drugs, but an AED is allowable use for that.
And no matter what we decide to use that money for, we have to have written permission back from the state, giving us permission to spend that money on. There's a list of things that you can spend it on, and once we have meetings further on in the future and decide that if AEDs is what we want, then you have to get written permission to be able to spend that money on that.
And this is money that you all will receive for about 8 more fiscal years. So this money is going to keep coming. So there's going to be more things that you use it on in the future. The next fund and the last city fund you have is the utility fund. Roger's helped me with some statistics. I don't think that a lot of people understand how, and some of these are interesting to me. Bruce's father actually put this in my head. I'm reminded, you have over 400 miles of lines. He's like, our lines go between Greenup and Myrtle Beach. That's how many miles of water lines that you all manage. I always thought that was an interesting statistic, and I remembered it that way. You all serve 4,330 customers. You have 8 water tanks, 12 pump stations. An interesting fact, too, your water loss, you all have reduced it 10 to 15%. You have 5 sewer lift stations within the city. You all don't have a sewer plant, you don't treat your sewer, but you all have lift stations and sewer lines that you maintain to get your sewer to the combined sewer plant in Portland. Just some interesting facts on your all's water system, sewer system. Before we go into that, you all actually ask about debt. The debt that you all have right now is you have a KIA loan, which was for a water extension, and you've got, I think about 75% of that reduced because the area was low income. So you only owe $303,000 on that. You pay about $40,000 a year, and that will be paid off in 2032. So 2032 will no longer owe on that water extension. The second set of bonds, it will also be paid off in like 2032. And you currently owe $1.6 million. These bonds, some of this debt was refinanced about 10 years ago. Maybe 12 years ago, time flies. And we took every little debt that you all have with rural water, and we lumped it into one big debt service. And we got a lower interest rate and saved you all about $500,000. The principal payments on that is down about $185,000 a year. So on that debt, you pay about $185,000 a year. In 2032, you'll have enough money to pay it off. You have a debt service reserve. You'll be able to take that off. So 2032, 2033, that debt will also be gone. So that is all the debt you have in your utility fund. I was also asked about the sewer debt for joint sewer. You all have no legal liability for that. I've talked to multiple people, but you are a ratepayer of that organization, and if they need to pay their debt, they always have the right to raise the rates to make you all do that. But you all have no legal liability to that debt. So you have total debt is $1.9 million. Anybody have any specific questions on either debt service?
You saying something or what's going on?
Background.
So that 1.9, what do we actually owe on the debt we've got right now?
Yeah.
Can you ask whoever that is to speak into the microphone, please?
I said, what do we owe on the sewer plant right now that we're moving to right now?
You owe nothing on the sewer plant. That is a separate legal corporation. You all are just their customer. So you owe nothing on that. The only thing you owe on is water line extensions, and that is the $1.9 million. You owe $303,000 to KIA, and you owe $1.6 million to Kentucky Bond Corporation. Anybody have any?
Thank you.
I like the statistics because, our little city here has a huge water system. It's a business you're all running. It really is. I will get to this, the revenues, the income for the utility fund. We budgeted to do a water intake to the plant, so the budget's $19.4 million. You take that out, our normal operating revenues are $5.4 million. Of the $5.4 million, you've collected $1.4 million today. The utility fund is in good financial condition. It has four divisions. The first division is administrative division where you all pay your debt. You pay like your insurance for the plant. You pay for your clerks and stuff that work in your office. Your phones, any dues that you have with the system. And that budget for that division is $2.4 million. But of the $2.4 million, you all have a contingency of $1 million. So you all didn't choose to budget everything that the income you're taking in. Because you're putting that back to be able to do capital and to be able to do different work in the future. And something that you all should be very proud of, you all have not issued any debt whatsoever in 12 years, 14 years, wherever we do the bond issue. You all have paid everything in cash. When you all buy trucks now, you pay in cash. When you all have done engineering for the intake, engineering for the plant, you all have planned and paid for it in cash. Cash is a good thing because it saves your ratepayers money, and you're all being financially responsible. There is some things you'll have to go out and do that for, but so far, every project that we've done, we've paid for in cash. We've not took on any more debt. So we have $1 million set aside in contingency. We had an issue in the water plant, another issue in the system. And we paid for them in cash. We've not had to go out and borrow any money from anyone else. And we also are going to set aside $300,000 for depreciation. Depreciation is an account
kind of like when you place an asset. Say you have your car, your personal car. You're setting aside money into account. When your car breaks down or you need a new car, you'll have that money to pay for it in cash. So of this 2.4 million, 1.4 million you all set aside for a rainy day and to plan with depreciation to be able to purchase assets or something breaks. You all will have the money to fix it. So you all, when you all adopted this budget, it is a financially responsible budget and it is, a sustainable budget. The majority of the first 10 lines is payroll in the system. You all repairs and maintenance, you have some maintenance agreements on software. You all changed your software this year. Your debt service on these bonds, $15,000 a month. That's spent $45,000 paying towards those bonds so far this year. And that's a good overview of your administrative division. Anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
On this intake, you got any time, is this intake in, is this centralized water coming in? Are we gonna spend that much money and possibly not be able to use it?
I would plan, you all have 4,300 customers.
I know.
You cannot make decisions on what is. I think you all need to move forward and,
But we cannot spend $15 million too and just throw it away.
So let me go ahead and interject here, and you guys should know this because I brought it up at the end of the last meeting, is that we are under a emergency direct declaration. Now I've extended that declaration for another 90 days. Stephen McGinnis drew it up for me to extend it because we were having some trouble on getting some parts and things of that nature. So the floating intake and the line coming from the water plant, where we stand at right now is the day, I think on Monday of when I left, got married on Saturday, left on Monday, the day that I left, I believe the crews went out and put the new floater in the ground, or in the water, I should say, with the new motor in there. There's already been new poly pipe, fused poly pipe from that floater all the way up towards the well house. That is already complete. For an example, if we would continue to wait for whatever council member that was that had that question, it's kind of hard for me to hear, but if we would continue to wait and something like this happens and this plant never comes to fruition and never happens, then we've got 5,000 customers that are in support of us. So the stance that I'm taking is that, yes, I'm 100% for the Water Commission. I'm actually the vice chair of the Water Commission. But I'm also going to go ahead and move forward, and I think it's a smart idea that we take some money from our budget every year in the future, and we secure up our own water plant. We've already started doing that in an emergency basis. Once this project's done, and I've been gone for a little while, but I've been staying up to date with everything, and we're at probably about 70% completion. I think our biggest holdup will be the controls and things of that nature that inside the plant. Once those will be installed, those will take plenty of time for those to come in, and DJ Prescott will be installing those. But there's a lot of groundwork that has to be done prior to getting to that point. Other than that, I've already requested from electricians estimates on securing our electricity at our water plant. If you've been to our water plant, then you will see that everything in there is obsolete. Most of the parts we cannot get anymore. We've shopped every place that we know to shop for. We do have some spares. Just the other night, I'm going to say it's a few months ago, I can't remember exactly, whenever I texted each of you guys in a group text, electricity went out at, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. We were able to get it restored back by like 1:30 in the morning. We're going to go ahead and we're going to secure up the electricity inside that plant. Then we're going to move to the media filters inside the filters. Some of those media filters haven't been replaced in a very, very long time. So we're going to go ahead and secure up our own water plant. And if and when the Water Commission decides or gets a lot of money or borrows a lot of money from the state or whomever, and they build their plant, then absolutely, I'll be the first person to say 100% for it. However, I will say this, is that Kentucky Waters last year, I'm going to use easy numbers for an example, had $10. Everybody across the state applies for Kentucky Waters. So there's $10 they were giving out. $1 was given out of those $10, and no dollars were given from Winchester to Eastern Kentucky. So I'm going to do my due diligence as the mayor, and I'm going to express that to you, gentlemen, as the city council and the governing body, that we're going to go ahead and secure up our own water plant and make it to where it's sustainable for the next 10 years. And we're going to have to spend a little bit of money to do that. And if by chance, borrowing money, whatever they decide to do, they get a lot of money to build a regional plant. And absolutely, it'll make our lives a lot easier. Only thing we have to do is buy bulk water from somebody else. So, but in the meantime, we're going to secure our water plant up. We're already fixing the temporary line. If you drive down US 23, you look towards the water plant, during the winter months especially, everybody can see the blue pipe that's been running above ground. The 480 volt electricity that's been laying on the ground for 20 plus years. We're securing these things up. Now, I want to back up and say this, is that if our water plant that we were bidding out is $15 million. I'm sorry, our intake is $15 million. The water plant that we're bidding out was 3 million a gallon a day with a possibility of opening up a fourth train to make it 4 million. So let's talk in big terms of water division, regionalization. How much more water is it going to take to supply everybody, Russell, Flatwoods, Graceland, possibly Worthland, or possibly Worthington, Wortland, us, all of Greenup County. So my point being is that if our 3 to 4 million gallon a day plant was going to cost somewhere between $50 and $65 million, how much is a 10 million gallon a day plant going to cost? So that's the type of money that we're talking about. We have to be real with this. We can't just sit back and say that, well, this is going to happen. Great, it may, and I hope it does. And I'll be the first person to sit there and clap and say, great, let's jump on board. But we also have to be real and know that we have 5,000 customers that are depending on us each and every single day for potable drinking water. So I, as the mayor, am going to encourage you to continue to shore up your entire water system, your plant, your distribution, and everything that goes along with it. For the first time in probably, I can't remember exactly how many years, we're under 0 agreed orders from the state of Kentucky. 0 agreed orders. So that means the lagoon's been in compliance, the drinking water part of it's been in compliance, the distribution part of it's been in compliance for the first time in many, many years. So I wanted to say that, and I'm going to follow up and I'm going to end with, is I'm going to continue to shore up our water system. I'm not going to sit back and wait on regionalization, on a hope and a dream. Granted, it may come to happen tomorrow. And if it does, I'll be the first person to stand up in front of all of you and say, hey, Lundy Meadows is wrong. I'll eat it. I'll own it. But I'm not going to be the person that's sitting on the end of the phone, getting phone calls, say, hey, why don't we have water? Why can't we get water to Three Prong? Why can't we get water to the Carter County line? Why can't we get water to Zion Ridge? Those aren't the avenues that we need to take. We need to be proactive. That's what I plan on doing.
Let's
I want to interject something additional. This is just in the talking stages, the planning stages. It hasn't even been really researched much, and there's been no engineering done. Realistically, you're talking probably 7 years. If they said tomorrow, it's time to get ready for a new water plant, you're probably realistically talking 7 more years before it comes to the first gallon going out of the tap. What do we do in the next 7
You
years?
said me, they said 3 to 5.
There is
They said
zero
3 to 5, they just say
available.
7 or whatever.
I said probably, Dave.
Okay, well, they said probably 3 to 5, I'll put it that way.
Well, probably 7 or probably 3 to 5. It could be either one, you don't know.
Historically, just the engineering and getting it approved by the state usually takes you a year and a half.
So let's think back to pre-COVID, whenever we first put our plan out to bid, and those bids come back in. Our 3 million gallon a day plant, with the possibility of running a 4th train and adding another 1 million gallon a day plant. When those costs came back in, and those contractors gave their bids, we were looking at a 3-year build time. 3-year build time on a much smaller plant.
My point being is, we have to keep our water plant up to date and going. Because there's a lot of time before anything will ever come to fruition.
How long is it gonna take to do all this inside the plant, basically, that you was talking about? Now, is that before the, put the intake in or after the intake? All the stuff that you want to do inside the plant?
Well, right now, we're concentrating on making sure we have raw water coming into our plant. Without raw water coming into the plant, we can't make any type of water. So that's the reason why I declared an emergency, was to be able to spend the money to put in the new pipe, new electricity, new actuator valves, new electronics inside the plant, doing away with the pump valve, being able to discharge the water back into the Little Sandy River, because most people don't realize is that pump that's sitting out there on the river, once it becomes wintertime, we just can't go down there and flip a button and turn it off. Because what happens, it's going to freeze up. So it's got to constantly sit there and run all winter long. So what we've been doing in the past is, it's been pumping up and into the well. And then the high service pump in the well has been delivering the water inside the plant. So doing away with the well will do away with double pumping. We won't be double pumping. The actuator valves will be able to be controlled by the plant operators inside the plant, and on a variable speed motor, slow those motors down on the river and put a less amount of water back into the Little Sandy River. But if we just flip the switch and we turn it off, then it's going to freeze up. So your question being, I think I answered the first part of it, is that we've got to get past this first. Once we get this secured, because going into this, I had absolutely no idea how much it was going to cost. I had a good estimate. I still think I'm close to that estimate of roughly around $300,000. We will know at a later date. Angie's been keeping track of the bills for her and Lacey, and I will have a breakdown of everything that falls underneath that emergency declaration. It also appears like we will be reimbursed for some of that through FEMA. I also turned in some of that to our liability insurance company because of the trees that fell on the exposed line, the exposed electricity, exposed pump out into the Little Sandy River. So we'll be receiving some of these monies back. So to answer your question is yes, once I get all of this tied together, these pieces tied together, then directly following that, some of that contingency money left in that budget, I'm going to use to start on the electricity. Because the electricity is the part of the plant that can fail at any given time. We're one phone call away, and I've been saying this for months. We're one phone call away from my chief water plant operator, our chief water plant operator, Roy Riddle, calling and saying, hey, the electric's off. I've got the electrician over here. There's nothing we can do. We're one phone call away. So as soon as I get done with this project, I'm moving on to the electricity part of it. After the electricity part of it, I'm moving on to the media filters.
That was more or less my question. What kind of timetable we looking at to get the part that you're talking before the intakes? That's my question. Are we talking months? How many months or years or what? What are we talking about before we actually need to do intake?
Are you talking about all three of those phases?
Yes.
I would say you're looking at a year and a half. Realistically.
That's all I was
So
asking.
what I don't want to do is speed the process up and then we make a mistake. We do something that we shouldn't do. I don't want to have to go and borrow money unless we absolutely have to go borrow money. I want it to be done and done correctly and it be a controlled situation. Roy Riddle is the chief water plant operator over there. He stays abreast along with me on everything that goes on over there. If Roy Riddle says that this isn't going to happen, then it's not going to happen. It's just that simple. He is in 100% control of the chemicals inside that water plant and the surroundings of the water plant themselves. So realistically, we're talking probably about a year and a half. And a lot of that, Dave, depends on the parts. You know, I just can't.
I know you can't get no deadline. I just want to estimate how long it would take to do.
Yeah, I would hope in a year and a half. I would hope.
That's good
But
enough.
you also have to understand that, and I don't know if you guys have been over to the plant or not, your filters 1 and 2, which was your first filters put in back in the phase 1 when the plant was built, those filters are paper thin. A lot of work is going to have to be done to those filters. Right now, at times, you know, whenever the clarifiers out the back start getting dirty, and then the filters start getting dirty, we start getting worried whenever the filters aren't filled up to the top, because it slows down the process of making potable drinking water. The filter lining, the steel is so thin that we're going to have to go in there and do a lot of fabrication and things of that nature before we can ever replace the media filter.
Mayor did a great overview of the capital plans for the water plant, so I'll go over some operational challenges. We have, your budget is 1.3 million. Some of the operational challenges that we have is like, you know, our citizens are feeling, you all are feeling, rising utility rates through AEP. Our water plant is a high electric user, so that is something that we've budgeted for, but they've watching rate increase for that, also $160,000 a year is put for the utility bills over the plant. Something else that has went up is your chemicals. It costs the city $320,000 a year for chemicals. The average chemical bill that we bought was about $6,600. They're about $11,500 now. So you all had a significant increase in chemicals. So, you all addressing your water loss, that's helped because you'll actually, use less chemicals to make water there. So the majority of your budget here, and we have some water for resale, for Canonsburg, there's a certain part of the system right now that we are buying water for resale. So that there is about 70% of your water plant budget. The next division is water distribution. This is the division that actually works on getting the water from the plant out into the household. And they do it through, they maintain 12 pump stations.
And then you all have water tanks that get the water out to the household. Some interesting things that you all have done through grant money this year is you all have done phase 9A, sheet hollow booster station water line extension. You all have done a 4.8-mile water line extension that has put water in Sheep Hollow, Pennington Hollow, and then that surrounding areas. This has been paid through AIA, about $1.6 million. You all have also done this island water line extension the last fiscal year, and this has been, it was like a $2.6 million extension to water lines that you all have paid for entirely with grant money that you got. So you're all not only addressing the water plant, you all are simultaneously addressing your distribution system, and you're adding water to customers and people that do not have water in their households. And there's still a lot of people in Green County that do not have running water. And you all made that a little better in the last few years. So I thought that was an interesting fact. The budget for water distribution is $15.2 million. We do have the intake system of $14 million in there. We have a backhoe and a trucks, parts and supplies. You spend about $178,000 a year actually fixing the system, like breaks and leaks and upgrading, and $90,000 in repairs and maintenance. Your pump stations, your 12 pump stations, cost you about $85,000 in utilities. We've spent in the first quarter of the year $401,992 in distribution expenses. Anybody have any questions on distribution?
I'm just gonna, for clarification, the 84,000, is that on the current intake that we're putting in?
Yes, it is. It's engineering cost for that.
Can you take a question from the audience? The 2.6 million, it's actually $2,906,000.
Actually, Judge, actually, the answer to that has to be no. I'm sorry, Russ. It's not listed, since it's a special meeting, it's not listed as comment from the audience. Yeah.
The numbers from providing our engineering firm. With the grant. I do think that is the good news that you all have done to your water system. So, anybody else have any other questions? Our last division is wastewater collection. And wastewater collection is all maintain your 5 sewer lift stations and your lines of sewer. You all provide your sewer to Wortland, but you all have to maintain the lines and the lift stations that gets the sewer to Wortland. You have contract labor of $54,000. You have repairs and maintenance available $45,000, and you all have $295,000 budgeted for work. We actually, when we did the budget, we factored in a little bit for a rate increase because we figure out at some point we think maybe one's coming. So your budget is also forward thinking with that, because you mentioned the debt, that we have extra money in there to pay for the sewer if it would be a small increase. So far this fiscal year, you've spent $100,777 on your wastewater collection. Anybody have any questions on that division?
Recorder, I can't thank you enough.
Anytime?
Heard a lot of stuff up.
Anytime. Y'all have any questions, you'll have our numbers, and we'll be glad to answer them at any time. Thank you.
Hey, I have something, Michelle. I'm sorry, but I just don't understand why this was added to the special meeting. This could have been done in a monthly meeting that we have in a week and a half. I just don't understand the importance why we have to go over this tonight to take everyone's time up. And a lot of this information that Lindsay had explained and you've explained, we get the financials and we know a lot of this and what we need to do. So, That was the number I wanted to throw out.
All right, thank you all.
I think the public also should know all of this also.
Huh?
I said, I think the public, it
We're
was
not
good
taking any comments
information that
from
the
the public
public
on
should
these
know.
issues. Whoever's speaking, it's a special meeting, and I hate to interrupt you, but I interrupted the judge.
Okay.
And it's because of the special meeting format, and I don't mean to offend you in any way, I love you.
You didn't offend me. I was just voicing my
yeah,
opinion.
sure, but if we're gonna have a regular council meeting, next week, and any of y'all wanna come back, you can talk about any subject you want, as long as the mayor who runs the meeting allows it. And I just don't want to face a complaint from anyone in front of the Attorney General about violating the Open Meetings Act. So that's kind of my job here tonight. So with that done, if mayor thinks that done, and council thinks that done, the next issue. So.
Absolutely, we'll move on to item number 2. That is exactly how it was given to me, that I read by council discussion from audience concerning underage operation of e-box and other motorized vehicles. So, Stephen, has there been anyone that has signed in to speak solely on motorized underage vehicles?
Well, actually, clerk, she's coming back here to the
They
table.
grabbed the sign-in sheet, please.
Mayor, we don't seem to have anyone specifically on that, but the suggestion was made by the councilman that if anyone wanted from the audience specifically to talk about it.
Mr. McGinnis, if I may,
Absolutely.
if I may, I wasn't aware that I needed to sign in. I would like to speak on that for just a brief moment.
What's your name, sir?
Rob Wagner.
Rob, come up here to the front, speak to my microphone so everyone can hear you. We have Rob Wagner here to speak on this.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I wasn't aware I needed to sign in. I did see this posted. I did have just a brief thing on the, and I don't care who rides and where they ride, but I do care about how they ride. And I know a lot of times myself and my wife will be coming home. We live over here behind the old library, right there on the corner of Ash and Perry. There's a lot of children that will cut through the old library parking lot and head out over there on the bank dumpster instead of staying on the road. And that is a hazard. And I would hate personally to hit one of them. One of them hit me, one of them injured. I couldn't live with myself if that was being happen. So I don't know if there's something that can be put in place to where they maintain we can't cut through parking lots. Because I know that myself, back when I was a kid, on my first motorcycle, I cut through a parking lot and I got a ticket. So that's the only thing I've got to say on the matter, is if there's any way that we can regulate them staying on the road and maintaining their vehicle.
They're motorized vehicles.
Yes. Yes. And no, the e-bikes, I haven't had any issue that these were motorized vehicles, mini bikes, different things that cuts through there. And I know myself, I've had to stop several times.
Say they're all underage?
Yes. So if there's, that's all I've got to say on that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Russ.
Was there anyone that signed on to the paper that wanted to talk about that? That was the reason they signed.
I signed the paper, but I'm waiting to see what the outcome of this meeting is about this.
It's more or less just discussion now to see what's going on, basically.
No, actually, the number 2 on your agenda, it says discussion from audience concerning underage operation of e-bikes and other motorized vehicles.
Maybe 16.
So Madam Clerk or Stephen, has there been anybody else sign in that wishes to speak in regards to underage operation of e-box and or other motorized vehicles?
There has not been, and I haven't seen anyone else raise their hand wanting to talk about this.
Number 3 on the agenda is to enforce age limits for operating motor vehicles with vehicle confiscation for underage violation. And I will turn it over to the city council.
All right, I want to say one thing is, according to state law, if you're under 16, you're breaking the law on an e-bike, because after our last meeting, an hour after our last meeting, an e-bike without lights or brakes hit one of our residents here in town. Over the weekend in Ironton, 2 9-year-olds lost their life because they hit a bench and hit a parked car. When I had a student several years ago that was in my class, passed away because of a motorized vehicle, and it was more powerful than that child should have been on. So I personally, it does bother me. And I know if I was to hit a child, it would affect me. It would bother me. I know it has affected some people. There have been times I've seen them run stop signs. And there's 10 or 12 e-bikes in the Greenup with underage kids. It's not just a few. I've seen them run stop signs. I've seen backing out. I had one trick or treat night. A resident told me that as they were backing out, a e-bike went straight behind them and just kept on going, like, you know. It's about the child safety, and also the CBS did it was last week on the news. They talked about the raising rate of e-bike, not only accidents, but deaths. There are states, cities, counties all over this country dealing with this.
I'm sorry, don't they have to go by the same rules as anybody driving?
Well, we're not taking public comments or questions on this issue. That's all right.
Okay.
There's a time at the end where we're not doing this. This is just for the council.
Some e-bikes will go up to 50 miles an hour. The e-bike that was in an accident, the child said it was 37 miles while his could have been. A kid versus a vehicle can catastrophic. I am fearful for the child, and I also know that it can cause issues with the person that they don't want it. That was never planned, but it will mess with them also. And I just feel, as a town, Greenup, I know some people say Mayberry, but we want to keep everyone safe from birth to the end. And I do fear for the child's life. So that is why I have been talking about this since June, end of May. Just
But are you just talking about e-bikes, or we're talking
It's
about all, like the golf
Once
carts?
again, please, once again.
Well, I just
say
want to
one last-
clarify, we're talking about golf carts versus
Let me
e-bikes.
say it one last time. This is the time for the council to talk. We do not have public comments about this particular issue on it, or questions. I understand, I'm not trying to be mean, okay? I promise I'm not. I can be mean, but I'm not trying to be. And this is the time for my council to talk and not take questions about anything. So,
according to the
whatever the council wants to say, just say. Thank you.
according to the law, it's not only e-bikes, it's motorized vehicles. Like, over the summer, we would have a 5 or 6-year-old and a 3-year-old on a not a golf cart, but a go-kart going down Main Street or East Main. Could that have ended up bad? There was some underage kids on a golf cart pulling a kid behind on a little butt scooter or whatever, I don't know what it, holding onto a rope. could that end very badly? And they were not of age. So it's 16 and up, completely okay. It's the underage ones that are running the risk of worse than injury, so.
I want to make a comment on that too. When I've lived here all my life. When I was a kid, I had to push I rode my mini bike to the road, pushed it across, got off, pushed it across the road, went to the church, Baptist church, got on the railroad tracks, drove all the way up the railroad tracks, Frida Harmon's house, come out of Frida Harmon's house, stopped at the road, pushed it across the road, and then I rode in the park. It took one ticket for me to realize, and Dad made me realize, that I wasn't going to drive them on the road. I don't know if y'all knew Porter, but, yeah, he was the one that made me realize that. So it's nothing new. That's 50 years plus. I'm 63, I was probably 8. So I mean, it's not like a newfangled thing, guys. It's been like that in Greenup for a lot of years.
I didn't get to go that far. It shows all the way up there.
Bruce. Don't acknowledge our audience members. I appreciate we all know each other. Ignore your citizens. But it's a special meeting, so, yeah.
Just give everybody this KRS 189.289. I have a copy of it here. If anybody would like, we can make you a copy. This was presented to us via email by our attorney, and he gives us this attached copy, and it should be in everybody's hands regarding operation of the motorized vehicles. Here's the rules and regulations. And I think we need to adhere to them, because that was a very tragic thing the other night to see a young man get hurt. We've all had a few close calls dealing with e-bikes. Regular bicycles are correct, you can have motors on. So please watch out for the kids if they're out there, and if they're on motorized bikes, in violation, we'll take action to do so. Appreciate it.
Stephen, is there anyone else that would like to speak on city council in regards to the underage driving e-bikes or any other authorized motor vehicles?
If you all want to, now's your chance. It doesn't look like it, Mayor.
Thank you. We will move on to item number 4, which is to review, discuss, and act on Kentucky Water Consultant LLC's contract. And it does say on this public comments concerning the contract. However, I'm going to turn it over to the city council and see if they want to discuss prior to the public comment. And while they're speaking, if Lacey, if you don't care to get your list prepared for the public comment.
Yes, sir.
Anybody from city council that would like to engage in item number 4 on the agenda?
Well, we received a letter from our attorney, and
Here, speak into the microphone, please.
I said, we received a letter from our attorney, and to absolutely be safe where there's no harming nobody, we need to bid this contract. I make a motion to bid this contract out.
First and foremost, the item on the agenda is to review, discuss, and act on Kentucky Water Consultants LLC's contract and public comments. So I'm assuming you made a motion, because I can barely hear you, whichever council member it is that says that you want to make a motion to put that contract out for bid. Is that correct?
Yes, to be safe, to save the city and save individuals. It would be best to bid this contract out. I make a motion we bid it out.
So we have a motion on the floor to bid this contract out. Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor to bid this contract out. Is there a second?
Look, let me rephrase this a little. In order to bid this out, we've already got a contract right now. So, in order to bid this, in order to make a bid, we have to void the other contract, correct?
Councilman Black, you have a motion on the table that says that you would like to bid this contract out. I'm going to call one more time and ask if there is a second to Councilman David Black's motion that he has on the table.
Did I ask our attorney a question as to what he's doing?
Absolutely.
What happens if we don't bid it out and somebody files a grievance against us? Who's responsible for if it goes to court and they win?
Well, first of all, let me say this. My letter was clear to all of you all, as I was clear at the first meeting, that I do not believe this contract needs to be bid out because it's a professional service under the case that I cited to. Now, I told you, everyone here at the meeting where this contract was given, that if you wanted to bid it out, it was your all's choice. My letter says that you can if you want to, but I also state my opinion very clearly that I do not believe that it needs to be bid out because it is a professional service contract. I brought my letter for anyone who wants to look at it under the case of McLeod versus Cadiz. And I explained that in great details, public letter, and when the public wants a copy of it, you can get a copy of it. I don't mind. So your question is what happens? Well, I think what would happen is if this case was brought before court, we would win. That's what I think would happen. And I also told you all in the first meeting that we had about this, that I was confident in defending, that I would defend the city and anyone else that happened to be named in the suit, though I wouldn't see any point in that personally, for free. And I still stand by that. I live. Now, is it, as a lawyer, we always have to say this, is it always a possibility that a judge thinks that my opinion isn't correct? It is always possible, but the last judge that will decide that is at the Kentucky Supreme Court, because that's how far I'll take it in order to find out what the answer is. So, you know, you've got a motion on the floor to bid it out. You can go ahead and bid it out, but at this point, as everyone knows, there isn't any second to do that. So, I hope that answers your question. That's the best answer that I can get to it.
So basically, you're saying that the other attorney was wrong and you're right, and both of them are just opinions, correct?
Well, not only am I saying that, but I wrote it, and I signed my name to it. And I said, I wanted to write and give you my opinion about that letter that was written by my professional colleague, Ben Harrison. And I said, you should know that we've been professional colleagues for 20 years. I do respect his opinion, but I also believe that he is incorrect in this situation.
So in your opinion, if anybody files anything, it's going against the city, not the individuals on this board?
If I was asked to file a suit over this contract, I would file it against the city of Greenup, is what I would do. I would not imagine that this was a city I don't represent, Grayson, and I was asked to do this. I would not name any individual to it because what I would be trying to do was avoid the contract. If I were to name individuals to it, then I would consider that to be a politically motivated and personal vendetta against any of you all if you were named personally. And that's why I wouldn't do it. If all I was trying to do was something the client wanted and get something modified, is what it was.
So we have a motion on the floor. I'll ask one more time, is there a second? The motion fails for lack of a second. At this point in time, it also has on the agenda for public comment. Stephen or Lacey, if you would go down your list, call upon people if they still want to speak. Just have them come to the microphone where I can hear them state their names for the record.
I can't read the name of the first person that signed it. Your handwriting is as bad as mine.
Gary Garthie.
Gary, okay. Gary, you're on the list first. If you want to say something about this specific issue and confine your comments to it.
Say it again.
Confine your comments to this contract, since it's a special meeting.
Which contract are you speaking?
You signed, yeah, the contract between Kentucky Water Consultants and the city.
I'll avoid that.
Okay, not worried about that. All right. Roger Harris, do you have anything to say about this?
No.
Gary Miller, do you have anything to say about this?
No comment, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else here? Mayor, I'm not trying to take you over the meeting. You asked me to do that, so I'm trying to figure it out here.
Absolutely.
So, anyone else? All right.
So hearing none,
Correct.
correct, Stephen?
Yes, that's correct.
We will move on to item number 5 on the agenda, and that's to take action to prevent cancellation of regular council meetings. This is open for discussion with the city council.
And Mayor, would you mind if I talked about that first real quick?
Absolutely.
So the law on this is clear. A regular city council meeting is set in the city of Greenup, Kentucky on the second Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. If there are 4 council members here, there will be a meeting, no matter what. And your city attorney will be here. And there isn't any action to be taken to prevent canceling. Now, if there's not a quorum, which is 4 city council members, and I'm just trying to tell everyone else how this works is here, then there will be no meeting, no regular meeting, because there is no quorum. So traditionally, in every city I represent, meetings have been canceled for various reasons, but if there are 4 members of the council present for the regular meeting, then the meeting will happen no matter what anyone else wants, no matter what anyone else says, no matter what anyone else has posted, because that is the law. So I ran into this issue in the city I represent, not Greenup, and it was the exact same thing I explained to them, is if there were going to be 4 of them, I would be there, no matter what. So I don't want to keep anyone on the council from saying anything about it, that's not my point, but I do want you all to know what the rules are in regards to this. And you all have the power to have it no matter what, if just 4 of you show up on the regular day.
Even if we got notice it's been canceled,
I'm sorry?
even if I get a notice in the middle, we cancel it.
Yes, that's true.
So even if the mayor says we're gonna cancel, 4 of us can show up here and have it?
Yes. Now, like I said, traditionally, since I've been city attorney for all the cities I represent, which is several, cities have permitted mayors when they need to cancel a meeting or reschedule. But as the city council members, you're not required to do that. If there's 4 of you here. Now, if there's only 3, and we call the meeting to order, then we'll have to adjourn it because of no quorum. But as long as there's 4 of you here, there will be a regular city council meeting.
And if we got notice it's been canceled.
Not even if Pastor Jack sent you a notice. Would it matter? Right. Yeah, would not matter who sent it. You just don't get it.
So item number 5 on the agenda is to take action to prevent cancellation of regular council meetings. I just typed up the ordinance, or I typed up the agenda that you guys presented to me and added where I could be on Zoom. Is there any action that you guys want to take to prevent cancellation of regular council meetings?
I just want to make a comment, that's all. There have been a ton of meetings where we have had, our mayor has not been able to be at. I know some people have made comments. Well, there have been meetings where our mayor's been on vacation and stuff. My stepdad, he said he had done meetings before while on vacation. I know some people were like, why is there, but there have been meetings before where the mayor has not been able to be at the meeting. I know some people, there's kind of comments and stuff made, but it's not a practice that's never been done before. It has been done before. I wanted to say that.
Absolutely, and I would agree with you. While I'm on vacation, except for the urgency of this meeting, and I will tell you and everyone in the audience that I will do my due diligence to join in Zoom. However, it's called a Greenup City Council meeting. It's not a mayor's meeting. You guys are the legislative body. If I'm not there, then what happens, as long as there's 4 of you guys present, you appoint someone to conduct the meeting, you run the meeting, and you proceed forward. In the past, that has been done probably since I've been 19 years old, 20 years old, first started on city council, and it goes all the way back to the Thurman Archie, Ray Tripp, and Charlie Beach, Jim Dorn days. And some of you even served on city council. It's that if it was always out of respect that if I got, or any mayor got text messages from certain members of their city council that said that they couldn't be there, then they would go ahead and cancel a meeting for a lack of quorum to save the other council members from showing up, and they would be able to go ahead and proceed with their evening or with whatever plans they had. However, going forward, from this point forward, I assume that you guys do not want that. You want to, if I get 3 text messages that says that Dave, Jamie, and Mark Harris can't be there, then the other 3 are going to show up, and we'll cancel the meeting for lack of a quorum and move on.
Yeah, we hate to cancel a meeting, but like if I call Lundy and say I have to work, and Jamie's out of town and Bruce is out of town, and he knows there's not going to be a quorum, he will go ahead and cancel the meeting. So your time is not wasted and drive in here and see that. We try to get that information out in the past to let everybody know that we're not going to be able to do it. That's why that's probably been done a few times. But it's basically to say that you don't drive in here from wherever you live in the county, which like our water system is huge. And if someone has a question this way, try to head that off and say that, hey, we're not going to be able to have the meeting. Just to save gas, time, and everything like that, and everybody's, you know.
So why can't we just shift that one meeting and make another regular meeting sometime that month? Instead of skipping the whole month?
That's exactly what I done the last meeting, because it was canceled. And then a couple of days later, I called a special council meeting, and I'm assuming that's what's brought on the take action to prevent cancellation of regular council meetings. I could be wrong.
But a special meeting is different than a regular meeting. It's like people want to talk here today, but they can't talk. It's a special meeting, nobody can say nothing except what's on the agenda.
Any meeting that is not the regular meeting is by definition a special meeting. And you'll find that in the Open Meeting Act of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. So I wish we had control over that, Councilman, but we do not.
And I will also go on to say that this is not my agenda. I did not type this agenda. The only part of the agenda that I added was the part to where I could get in on a Zoom call. But Number 5 on the agenda is to take actions to prevent cancellation of regular council meetings.
I think you already took the action, explain to us. Appreciate it.
We'll move on to number 6, and that's comments from the public. Stephen or Lacey, if anybody's there that would like to speak, if you could have them come up to the mic and speak clearly and state their name for the record.
Now, this is open to non-other findings, right?
Yeah, this can be, if like you
That
have,
would be a clarification for council, city attorney Stephen McGinnis, because all it says on the agenda is comments from public.
So is it open?
I think it's like open mic. That's what it is.
Right now,
This is like open mic. This is the time.
It's open.
and I'm up.
Who's on that? Gary Garcia.
Gary Garcia. And speaking with the mayor and council, I'm glad to be here. I don't quite understand, and I still haven't been convinced why a special meeting was called tonight. You have not conducted any meeting or any business per se that would require this special meeting, other than you've interrupted a man's honeymoon. I think that's low life, no other word for it. There was no call for this meeting. Now, number 2, talking about e-bikes. Of course, I've got 3 boys. I'm not raising fairy princesses, I'm raising boys. And they are all boys. They have e-bikes, they've ridden go-karts, they don't have any now. They've had little motorcycles, they don't have any now. And they haven't had done any destruction or hurt anybody else's property. Now, what happened the other night with the young man, that was a tragic accident, no doubt about it. That particular e-bike should not have been on the street. And he knew it, because I had told him that day. But accidents happen. Little 12-year-old boys don't think like adults.
Exactly.
I remember,
Exactly, though. They don't think like adults.
no, I remember Bruce very well riding his mini bike.
But not on the streets, just in the
I
park.
would testify in court. You might have broke that rule a few times.
Well, I got a ticket for one.
But even after that, I think that rule was broke up. So, I mean, your dad and I were best friends for many, many years. And I loved him to death. And I know how Joe was with you, and I'm the same way with my boys. I do, at 74 years old, I certainly didn't take on raising 3 little boys from infants. I've carried them home from the hospital. I've had them ever since. I would buy them a dragster if it would keep them busy and just keep them occupied. As long as they don't harm themselves, don't harm anybody else's property, and go forward. Now, what happened was a tragedy. And I'm not aware of the e-bike law as far as age limits, and I would like to have a copy of that, or anything else being on the street, because we have them running all over town. Now, the golf carts, I agree 100%. If you're not 16, you shouldn't be driving one. And I have never let my boys drive mine, other than right around our house, maybe up around the circle, the street, and that area. But they don't go running down to the swimming pool night or anything like that. So, it sounds like tonight, we've got sort of a bunch of far left wingers, let's take the guns away from everybody. Nobody should have
about state law.
How does the state, we have never read the state law, how does it actually read?
A person 16 years of age or older may operate an electronic low-speed scooter, highway, bike lane, or bicycle path. A person operating under this section shall be subject to traffic violations outlined in this chapter. Let's see, let's go. But they have to be 16. So
It doesn't say anything about underage and lower speed.
Gary,
I'm just saying.
all I'm saying is, I'm first of all, did I say your boys alone? No, I said there's like 10, I said 10 e-bikes. What happened the other night was tragedy.
It was.
Do you think do accidents happen?
Absolutely.
Have I seen several kids in this town run stop signs? Yes. Have I seen kids driving recklessly, holding onto a car while riding an e-bike on the main street right here? Yes, going 35 miles an hour. Actually, yes.
My bikes don't do 35.
Well, while they were holding onto the car though. Yes.
Whose car?
It was a car that sometimes is in your driveway.
Then I'll deal with that.
Golf carts, most of them top out at 20. E-bikes can go faster than that, but they are also fall under the motorized vehicle. It says low speed right here, so that's a low speed. It's about safety. That's all it's about. I worry about the kids. They're not adults. They don't react to the same situations as adults would. They don't react as quick as some adults would. They don't know the traffic laws enough to adhere to the traffic laws that adults do. There's a whole list that we can go down but it all goes back to Kentucky state law. They're under 16.
Like I said, I want to read the law, and I'll delve into that further myself.
Okay.
So.
To answer your question too, that's what was interested, is safety for the kids in town. That's the main thing.
It's like taking guns away from everybody. Let's take the guns away from everybody, and then we'll make everybody safe, so we won't be around.
We got kids out around, and that's already happening. I couldn't tell you how many close calls I've had with those hit kids.
Like I said, y'all just accusing that little boys grow up, these little boys, or girls, right now, I see a lot of girls doing it too. Now, like I said, golf carts are different.
We want, our main thing is we want them to grow up. If there's an accident, they might not have a chance to grow up. We are trying to prevent a possibility of a catastrophic event that will save their life.
Again, like I said, this just sounds like a bunch of.
It's not liberal, it's not Democrat, it's Republican, it's common sense.
That boy hit his head and had to. That would have been awful. I couldn't believe it myself if I'd been operating that vehicle and the vehicle's coming up there and he hit her.
My wife got pulled out First of People's Bank, got hit right in the side with a boy on a bicycle. I mean, it happens on bicycles too. When I was young, right down here where the old library was, I was coming up the sidewalk on my bicycle. Well, I should have been on the sidewalk. I was breaking the rules, I know. Car pulled up into that stop sign, almost to the street, and I hit them right in the left front fender. Accidents happen on bicycles.
Well, I know in the city of Greenup when I was little, several people had mopeds. I know one of them got hit by a train. You would think that you hear a train, you see the lights flashing, that you would react and not cross the railroad track at that time. And you would hope that their inner thoughts would be, this is not a wise idea. But that person was 14 or 13 or something. They did not make a wise decision because at that time they were not mature enough to make the decisions that entail operating a vehicle that can go at a higher speed than a regular bicycle.
Don't disagree. I'm just saying, you just can't take everything away from kids.
Now, if it's on your property, and I know our council has before said motorcycles, as long as they're on the public streets and they're on your property, right, council?
Yeah.
Well, even the park, I mean, kids.
Right, council?
No, they've been banned from the park. Yeah, they disturbed the gravel. Young man in Stephen was doing donuts, four-wheeler.
I know, at the beginning of summer, we talked about motorized vehicles on the streets. That they could use it on their own property, correct? As long as there's not.
The law only prohibits its use on city streets and roads. It's like private property. And ultimately, how the law is enforced isn't determined by anyone currently in this room. It's determined by Matt Warnick and Judge Paul Crown. And we can, I don't want to keep you on to talk about this, but we can debate it all night. But those two end up being the ones that decide what violates the law and what doesn't. So that's who's going to end up making the decisions, nobody here. And the reason why is because the state decided to pass the law. Once the state passes the law, it does what we call occupy the field. And the city does not have the ability to pass a new law to try to do anything different. So it goes from that, from the legislators up to the court system, and the court system decides how to apply. So,
And if they're caught in violation of the juvenile, it's a whole different situation, correct?
well, my understanding is with a traffic citation, those go directly to the district court, and they do not go through juvenile court. So in a similar, though, well, a very different situation, if you are charged with DUI and you're 17, you don't go through juvenile court. You go directly in front of your district judge. So since this is a traffic violation, it should, my understanding, go directly in front of the district judge and the county attorney, Matt Warnick. And then Mr. Warnick's going to have to decide whether to prosecute it or not, and then the judge is going to preside over that. So the main decider of who's going to decide what happens with this is ultimately going to be your county attorney network. And that's true for all cities. It's not just true for all of us here. It's true for every city in the county and out in the county, if any citations are issued.
To start that process, a police officer has to issue the citation.
That's right. The police officer issues a citation, and as far as we had listed on the agenda, confiscating the bikes, I don't think that the city would be permitted to confiscate the bike, but it would be up to the prosecutor to decide if the bikes would be held as evidence pending prosecution. And again, that's up to Mr. Warnick to decide whether he wants them held in our evidence room or whether he wants them like evidence of any other case.
But for the safety of the child, if they did confiscate him, if he was doing something like speeding or reckless operation, they wasn't 16 years of age, taking the bike or vehicle away from him, that would be the best deterrent.
Well, I don't think they can be confiscated or taken. That implies an ownership transfer.
Okay.
I think and again, you're gonna have to talk to the county attorney, because I don't prosecute people. But my understanding of prosecution after 30 years is that the Commonwealth, through the county attorney's office, could ask any police officer to hold that as evidence of a traffic violation until the case is resolved. Now, you're going to have to check with him whether he feels like he'll do that. I don't want to speak for Mr. Warren. That's my best opinion.
I had a situation that occurred with my granddaughter, and they took the golf cart away from her, locked it up down, and called me, and I had to go back next morning and get it. But she was doing something reckless, and it should have been taken away from her.
And that's an impoundment.
That's why I was
For
referring.
evidence, and I think the same thing could happen to any vehicle that an underage person is driving. A golf cart, an e-bike, a motorcycle, a car. Potentially, the state, through the county attorney's office, could insist that be held for evidence until the crime is resolved.
But even some of those e-scooters can go up to excessive amount of speed, can't they?
I don't know anything about them because all my kids are grown. If they choose to use one.
I don't have the balance for one.
Yeah, so, and whether or not that's riding an e-scooter is a different thing. Again, it's ultimately up to your prosecutor, and if challenged to your district judge, is who it is.
But there's other cases locally down Lewis County. There was a child that lost their life over the summer because of
Just like the two that got killed on the four-wheeler yesterday.
And it's horrible. And you don't know, and I feel for those families. And I don't want, and I would hate for something to happen, that you would have a similar situation with what happens there.
I would too.
And I know yourself, you would beat yourself up if something did happen.
It would kill me.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's not about my kids or anybody else's. The point is, we are trying to govern everything everybody does. And you can't build safety into those things. You can't take safety away from them. But you cannot dictate. That's my point. Just like this meeting tonight, I've seen no reason why this meeting should have been called. Lundy's on his honeymoon, he wouldn't even leave him alone enough to do that.
95% of the reason I signed on for this meeting was the e-bikes. Because of what happened with an individual over here. I started talking about this in May. I was like, something's going to happen. And it did. And thank God, because they had to be, God had to be holding on to that child. That's, the injury they sustained was all that they sustained.
Lady operating the car, it has really, really impacted her. And that's where it came out being
I do feel for her.
I mean, really.
We had a e-bike hit a vehicle in town, and the child went over the hood. But that is the extent that can be. But we can always talk about things, and we can always say, what if, what if, what if? What if happened? And what if can happen again and again?
How many wrecks, accidents do we have up and down this highway?
Up and down the highway, people have usually 3 different safety devices in their car. Airbags, seat belts, all that. You hit someone going 35 or 20 something on an e-bike. First of all, there's no seat belt. Kids are not wearing helmets. Kids, there is no safety precaution there at all. Some brakes don't work. Some lights don't work. Was there a series of unfortunate events that led to this? Yes. My thing is, I want to nip the first series of the events to stop the further series of events. I mean, we've all known someone that has been hurt doing something they didn't think would ever hurt them. That's why there's rules. At the Greenup pool, you can't dive in the shallow end. It's not a state rule. But you can break your neck and die.
You can break your neck, dive in the deep end.
But that's the whole thing is, there are rules set forth to protect people and to protect your kids, but also to protect the drivers that will also be impacted. Because I don't want it to happen to me. I would never be the same. And I'm sure everyone here feels the same way. That would devastate me. I would never be the same. I've known kids that this has affected and that there was not a good outcome. It's not us trying to take guns, it's us trying to let your kids live. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's just, there's guardrails set forth for safety. Do kids push the safety rails a little further every day until they get hurt? I'm worried, and your kids could completely be complying and following the rules, and everything be the safe as ever. And one adult looked down at their cell phone for 1 second, and your world changes. Motorcycles, they have helmets on the highway. Well, some people.
16-year-olds have the same way.
But Following the guardrails set in place is for safety.
Are you aware of any other local cities that deal with this problem? And if they do, how do they deal with it?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is a big problem in every city I represent. The councilman asked if there was any other city that I knew of that had the same issues. This is a problem in every city that I represent. It's been talked about ever since the city council meeting I've been to, with the exception, I think, of Belgium. And it's an issue that we're going to see starting to move through the court system. I have no doubt about it, because what's going to be happening is every city, I think, is going to be asking their police officers to start citing these kids that are violating the law to court, and then they're going to be dealt with by the prosecutor once they get there.
Currently, do you know of anybody that's actually governing that way now?
I am told that there has been one case filed already. I don't know what city it was from, and I can't speak for any other city, but I would be shocked if you didn't see many citations coming to underage drivers of these things in the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
I got a question for you. In Flatbush, they ride on sidewalks all the time. How's that apply for riding?
Well, I'm not a prosecutor, but as I read the law, you cannot operate that on any city street or thoroughfare. But again, Matt Warnick may feel differently than me, and he's the one that we all elected to make that decision. So we'll see what it is yet.
Bobby Hall, Greenup County Judge Executive, regarding water. First of all, I want to say what was said earlier with Mayor Meadows regarding the future and the efforts between 5 cities and that blueprint. Mayor Meadows is 100% accurate. What they're asking for at the Division of Water, KIA, and DLG is that you form this for the study. There's a lot of questions unanswered, and that's the reason for the study with the engineering firms, is to get those answers and to see where it needs to go from here. If anyone wants to Google Jefferson County and Bullitt County, you will see those 2 counties joined together to serve 1 million water customers. Last year, Rowan County and 4 other counties formed together. They have 1 water plant now for 5 counties. What we're hearing from our legislators, from the Division of Water, DLG, and KIA, is that this is the new pattern for the state of Kentucky. So everybody in Greenup County is on board with it. We're moving forward to find out what those answers are going to be. So what the mayor said a while ago, or earlier in this meeting, was it is still the responsibility of the city of Russell and the city of Greenup to keep these water plants alive. The water plants have to stay alive. The last thing anybody wants is a state of emergency. The customers that the city of Greenup provides for, the customers that Russell provides for, is over 30,000 customers. Both water plants are in dire needs of upgrades, 8 million to 16 million initially for each one. You're looking at 110 million combined, and so there's a lot going on. And I wanted to just come in this evening and share that, and I wanted to clarify something as well. Michelle, I grew up eating Chlorine Beach's spaghetti in the 70s and 80s. A while ago when I spoke up, that was not directed at you. It was directed at 2.6 million. That was inaccurate. The engineer gave you the wrong information. That accurate number is $2,906,000. We were blessed as the Greenup County Fiscal Court to work with the city of Greenup. We ran every single invoice through the city of Greenup, and the city of Greenup then sent it on to the engineering firm. The last check that we wrote was in March of 2024. That water project is over. It was, again, $2,906,000, and the Greenup County Fiscal Court wrote all of those checks to the city of Greenup. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that that was not in the financials. What she said earlier, that was the numbers. It's not Michelle's fault. That's the numbers that her engineer And the city's engineer, I should say, gave those numbers, so I wanted to make sure that we can clarify that so everybody knows on record that that was done through a 2003 water project in joint with the city of Greenup and the Greenup County Fiscal Court. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything to say about the e-bikes, motorized vehicles in town?
Or it's just open for,
Yeah,
yeah.
anything.
Who else was on the list?
Does the officers have anything to say about these e-bikes and motorized bikes?
What was that question?
He asked if anybody else had anything to say and asked if one of the police officers would like to comment on the e-bikes.
Is Chief Russell there? He doesn't want to speak, then he doesn't have to.
I am here. We've had several problems. A lot of the problems we've had has been kids just running up and down the road, carrying on. But we have been trying to nip it down, and my ears plugged up, I had told you. We had one kid, the one that got hit. We are turning the heat up on this thing to get these kids down, get them off the street. Another thing that the parents could help because of the curfew and everything that they put in place, it needs to be dealt with. We need to shut them down. You know, we're not trying to be mean to them, but it's for their safety all the way around. Because this is not 1955. You know, these people out here today, you don't know what you're dealing with. When the lights goes out, it could be bad. But we are trying to turn it up to where we can calm them down.
And Roger, I think that you would agree that you and I have had conversations about this for ongoing weeks, if not months, in regards to golf carts, underage drivers with golf carts, underage drivers with e-bikes. And Stephen, back to your, I'm not going to name any names or say anything that I'm just going to make a comment, because you had come up with one underage person being cited in the court. There has been one underage been cited in the court in the city of Greenup.
What was he cited for? Him or her, whoever it was. What was he cited for?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak into the microphone?
Him or her, what was they cited for? I mean, e-bikes,
I will leave that up to Chief Russell, or if the officer that's present in the room to speak of that. And I would encourage them, I'm not sure on the law, Stephen, to kindly watch about that child being a juvenile. I did hear you say that the district court didn't matter, or didn't pertain to citations for juveniles. But if Officer Will Hight's in the room and he would like to speak.
So I'll turn this way and address this if you don't mind, okay?
I'm not going to back towards you, so I can hear that.
So this is not a council issue, this is a public issue. It's nothing to do with them up here, whether you let your kids out or whether you are out after dark with no headlights on your golf cart, no taillights. Everybody needs to be within the parameters of the law. If you want us to enforce it, we're going to enforce all of it. That's the way it needs to be anyway. We've given breaks. Have I not been fair? I've tried to guide kids that's been out here several times to do the right thing. Okay, I think the structure of the fire department for these kids and other activities around the area would occupy them a little bit more. But this is a community thing, okay, not just kids. We see people going down the road all the time, dark. Headlights faint or not working or one's out or whatever. That's your safety too. There's people flying down through here, coming from the jail, picking somebody up, going to meetings at the library, And it's getting darker earlier, and there's a curfew that's gonna be enforced as well, okay? So we need everybody's participation in this. All right?
Thank you.
And the young man was cited for his brakes not working. Front and back brake, neither one worked. There was no lights on the electric vehicle. And the reflectors were basically null and void, you couldn't see it. And to tell you how bad safety is, there was a guardian 100 feet or so behind him in a truck because he made the responsible call to call home and say, hey, it's dark, I need to get home safely. So somebody was behind him. Something still happened. 100 foot is not close enough to light up a kid with headlights. So, and he was so far back, he didn't see what happened either. So it just takes that little glimpse of time for anything to happen. We all know that. Anybody here perfect? So we all know.
Do these lights come with lights?
I'm sorry?
Do these lights come with headlights and taillights?
To my knowledge, an electric vehicle does come with lights, to my knowledge. And to be roadworthy, and given the issue on the golf carts, if I can speak on that, there's a section of this road you really shouldn't be on, and you shouldn't be going over the overpass as well. And we've, been a little slack with that, but we talk to people and let them know not to do that. But there's a path to take through town to navigate safely. Because one day it could affect your ability to be even on the road in a golf cart. It could be taken away. That's like the cricket issue in this town. And everybody using it, it's wonderful. It's great.
Good point.
And this could be answered by any of our officers. Have you seen an uptake of people under the influence driving? Or has
Yes.
So that could also play into the safety, is adults under influence out driving. That's another safety hurdle that, we can't stop.
We have been called to help the county and other towns with pursuits, like several. And going down the street, even with lights and siren on, we're going, real fast through town because we know we have to drive with due regard. And I think we all do. But at times, we have to get somewhere quick as well. But I'd like to bring up something else if I may. Tell your kids to stay off the railroad tracks or anywhere, because that is trespassing by the railroad standards, and we have been told to enforce that by the railroad. In Louisa, just a few days ago, a woman was walking on railroad tracks and got hit by a train. Sliced from her head. Just a simple little incident, didn't think it would happen. We don't know how it happened, but it happened. So anything can happen. Everything's a danger anymore. Thank you.
I got a question. You said there was an uptick in DUI.
Well, we've had more involvement lately. They're out there. There's a lot that don't.
But is it like in town? Or is it?
On 23 or?
On 23, but they come through here too.
So we're having an uptick, what you're saying, is people driving through town, might be impaired.
I'm not going to pretend to be naive and say that there's not people that don't drive golf carts drunk or drinking. But nobody thinks about something happening. Oh, I'll just have one or two. There's laws. And any of those questions, we work to our city attorney. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Norman here.
Yes, sir.
No offense intended. I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn and take the rest of this up at our next council meeting.
Sir, you made the motion to adjourn.
Can I do that?
I'll second.
To adjourn. Is there a second?
Jamie Gillum seconded.
Have a motion, second, to adjourn.
John Boyd.
I'm not on vacation, Doug.